The story begins with a couple, Simon and his wife, Robyn. They just moved to a new city to begin a fresh life together. They visit a mall to purchase items for their home's new decor. Simon runs into his former classmate, Gordo, in the mall. They both greet each other. Simon gives the shopkeeper money and the address of his home. Gordo, standing beside Simon, overheard the address. Gordo wasn't a close enough buddy of Simon to set up a second meeting with. In the next few days, Gordo sends them a pricey bottle of wine, which he drops at their doorstep with a note. Robyn is surprised to see this. She questions how Gordo discovered their home's address. They kept everything from him. She is unaware that Gordo had heard their home's address in the mall. Gordo himself visits the house one day. However, he has a list of maids, servants, and assistants' contact numbers with him. He gives it to Robyn. They require them because they are new to the city. Robyn invites Gordo inside the house and gives him a tour of the house and asks him to stay for dinner. She has the impression that he might be Simon's best buddy. Simon tells Gordo that he works for a security company. Gordo tells him he worked in the military after he finished school. Gordo then invites Simon and his wife over for dinner. After Gordo leaves, Simon tells Robyn he does not like these unannounced visits from Gordo. Meanwhile, Gordo has sent them koi fish as another gift. "We should thank your friend," says Robyn. "Thank you for what?" "Visiting our home unannounced," Simon asks. Simon doesn't approve of Gordo visiting them, even crossing his name out over his phone number on the fridge and writing "Weirdo," as that was Gordo's nickname in high school. Simon tells his wife that when they go to Gordo's place for dinner tonight, they will make it clear that they do not enjoy his unannounced visits. The two are pleasantly surprised by Gordo's impressive home when they visit him in the evening. As they are all chatting together, Gordo receives a call and goes out for some emergency work. Simon and his Robyn think this is a bit unusual. Both of them wonder how someone could leave such strangers alone at home. They seize this opportunity and begin exploring his home. They learn that Gordo is married and has a child after seeing the entire house. Simon reasons that he must be keeping something from them. Simon then starts making rude comments about Gordo, saying that he has a crush on Robyn and wants to do perverted things to her. "There is nothing like that, and you are thinking too much," says Robyn. They both begin to laugh. Gordo had returned in the meantime. Simon asks him the truth about who he really lives with in this house. Gordo claims that his wife has taken his child and left the house, and his wife is the owner of this house. Simon now firmly warns him, "Look, stay away from our life and pay attention to yours. Try to fix it." Simon's words made Gordo very upset. When Robyn visits her pond the following morning, she discovers that all the koi fish are dead, which Gordo had gifted them, and their dog is missing too. After learning all of this, Simon has doubts about Gordo. He goes to his place to find out more about it. He discovers that Gordo is a driver, and the house where they were invited last evening for dinner was actually his boss's. Simon also learns that Gordo is not married and does not have children. In other words, he was lying to him about everything. When Gordo's boss discovers Gordo's doings, he also fires him. Now Simon files a police complaint against Gordo. However, the authorities are unable to arrest Gordo because there is not enough evidence. A few days go by in this manner. Nobody knows where Gordo is. Robyn senses a person entering her home one day. She feels someone is in her home. She begins to have many thoughts about this in her head and begins taking sleeping medications. Then, one day her dog, who had disappeared, returns. Gordo sends a letter in which he has written, "Let bygones be bygones," which is a phrase that means to let go of the past. He has expressed in writing that he is willing to put the past behind, and he isn't doing this with bad intentions. They should forgive him. After reading the letter, Robyn begins to think about Gordo's points. She does not know anything about the events that Gordo wants to forget. She asks Simon about it, but he refuses to tell her anything. Robyn becomes very concerned. Bizarre dreams begin to occur. She is constantly asking herself, what did Gordo want to say after all? One day, as she continues to worry about these things, she feels incredibly anxious and passes out. Simon finds some medications which Robyn was taking. He tells her to stop taking these medications and tells her that they will make her anxious. In order to live a decent life, we must leave all these things behind, he tells Robyn. On the other hand, work for Simon is going really well. His client is quite pleased with him. Simon is being considered for a promotion at work, and after a good meeting with the two men who head the company, a colleague tells him that he has only one competitor for the position, Danny MacDonald. Time passes by. After a few days, Robyn finds out she is pregnant. She is overjoyed. When she goes shopping in the market one day, Gordo catches her eye. She approaches him to ask some questions. Seeing Robyn, Gordo leaves. When Robyn is having her baby shower, she begins chatting with Simon's sister about Simon's school. Simon's sister tells her that Simon and his friend spread false information about Gordo. Everyone in the school began calling him inappropriate names, and for that reason, he was forced to drop out of school. Robyn starts searching for that friend of Simon. She soon figures out who Simon's friend was. He tells her that Simon was a bully at school. One day, he made fun of Gordo by spreading the rumor that he was gay and did bad things. He was also dismissed from school as a result. When Gordo's father found out his son was homosexual, he attempted to burn him alive. For this, Gordo's father ended up in prison. In this way, Simon is the only one responsible for ruining Gordo's life. Robyn now seeks out her husband's workplace to learn more about all of this. She discovers that Simon already collected all information there was to know about Gordo. She also discovers a file there that belongs to Danny MacDonald, but she ignores it. Now that Robyn is aware of everything, she confronts Simon and tells him, "I know about you, Simon, and I had not even thought. You are such a disgusting person. You must now go to Gordo and make amends for everything if you want to continue our relationship." Following Robyn's advice, Simon goes to Gordo for his forgiveness. However, he goes to him and apologizes to him as if he is doing him a favor. Here, Gordo tells Simon, "My friend, the past is never forgotten." Simon gets furious upon hearing this and starts beating Gordo. "Stay away from my family," Simon shouts. Then he returns and lies to his wife, saying that Gordo has pardoned him. Simon gets the promotion at his office. He invites some of his friends over for a small party for his promotion. Danny comes during the party and throws a rock at Simon's window and accuses him of lying to the company about him, for which he was fired from his job. And Simon got the promotion. The same files that Robyn discovered in Simon's office. Danny was talking about it. Robyn is now convinced that her husband could do anything to succeed. Before Robyn speaks to him, she begins to feel ill. She is brought to the hospital where she gives birth to a boy. At that point, Simon receives a call from his office informing him that he has been dismissed from his position due to falsifying Danny's information. Simon's heart is broken, and he is in dismay. He returns home while driving and thinking about all these things. Outside his residence, he receives a gift. 3 gifts are inside when he opens it. First, there is a key. It turns out to be his house key when he checks it. It means Gordo was able to get inside his house whenever he wanted. The second present contains a DVD with the recordings in which Simon mocked him when he visited his home for dinner. It means Simon and his wife were always under Gordo's surveillance. The third gift contains a video that had driven Simon insane. In that video, he sees Gordo inside his house, which means Robyn's feeling that someone was in their house was true. The video shows Gordo approaching Robyn after she passed out. He is wearing a monkey mask. Simon had a fear of monkeys, so he did this to mock him. Simon is terrified. The video shows Gordo adding the fainting medicine to Robyn's water. Gordo approaches Robyn in her bed with ill intentions. As he is approaching, the video gets dizzy and ends. It can be assumed what Gordo did next with Robyn but cannot be sure of. Now Simon is thinking that the newborn baby is even his, or it is Gordo's. Next, on the other side, Gordo came to visit Robyn at the hospital. He is all bruised up from Simon's beating. Robyn becomes even angrier upon seeing Gordo's condition. Simon rushes back to the hospital and finds Gordo getting into an elevator, but he fails to catch him. Simon runs out of the hospital to give chase and receives a call from Gordo. He demands to know if Gordo did what Simon thinks he did. Gordo says no, but then suggests maybe he did, and this is what happens when a bad idea is put into someone's head. Simon goes to find the baby, to get a better look at his eyes. It still doesn't let him know whether the baby is Simon's or Gordo's. Robyn holds the baby and looks at Simon with displeasure. Simon slumps against the wall and quietly weeps, knowing his whole life is now ruined. Gordo briefly watches Simon before leaving and removing the sling from his arm. His mission to heartlessly destroy Simon's life is now completed. Do you sympathize with Simon, Robyn, or Gordo? Or do you find yourself questioning their choices? What would you have done in their shoes? Join us in the comment section and let us know your perspective on this thought-provoking narrative.